Sleep. We all know its purpose, right? Well, actually, even scientists aren't absolutely sure. We believe it's restorative, so we know that whilst we sleep, our bodies can repair themselves, they can reduce inflammation, we can build muscle. And we need to sleep because it's a state of altered consciousness. It's controlled by the diurnal rhythm, and that really is the balance between cortisol, which rises in the morning as we wake up, and often in response to sunlight, and then drops off through the day, whilst melatonin, released from the pineal gland in the brain, increases towards the evening and induces that sleepiness and grogginess. How do we measure sleep? Well, with the rise of wearable technology, we now know that we can look at a measure called heart rate variability. The electrical activity of the heart, you might see it on a medical drama show, shows a small spike, a little QRS complex, a P wave before that, and a T wave behind it. But heart rate variability is the difference between beats, the RR variability. In a fight or flight response, if someone's running us over with a huge herd of elephants, our RR interval will narrow. Our variability, our relaxation narrows. We get ready to do something. After an excellent night's sleep, we know that RR variability widens. That heart rate variability increases. And we can measure that RR variability, or the heart rate variability, using many wearable trackers, be it a Whoop band, an Oura Ring, an Apple Watch, a Garmin. And each of those has their own way of interpreting that HRV to give a sleep score and a readiness score. And actually, research has shown they're about 70% accurate in determining the phases of sleep. So rapid eye movement, deep sleep, total sleep, how many times we move. Dependent on the device, we can tell whether or not these have oxygen measuring capacity, temperature sensing, movement sensing, and all of these variables add up to that sleep score. So HRV allows us a way that wasn't available before, other than just our own feeling of how sleep was, to objectively measure sleep and also the effects of recovery. Well, look, why is sleep important? Well, if it's restorative and we're trying to recover and trying to improve, what if we lose sleep? What if we look at 2 hours less sleep a night? We think 6 to 8 hours optimal, so under 6. Well, we know we lose 20% of cognition, of decision making. And that's because those areas of the frontal cortex of the brain start to struggle in terms of managing our decision making process. In sport, we almost immediately lose 20% of sprint capability, of speed, of engagement of muscle, but then also on shots on target. A great study looked at basketballers playing with various stages of sleep deprivation and found that 20% misses increases with that only 2 hours less sleep. And what about health in the long term? Well, we know it drives damage to insulin sensitivity and glucose. We know that many weeks of reduced sleep under 6 hours can increase the risk of diabetes by over 20%. And when we look at sleep deprivation of a night, so a whole night's sleep, again we see effect almost like intoxication, 0.05% blood alcohol level. What we can see there is almost a feeling of grandiosity, confidence, without the decision-making or the reaction time available that we can see. But when it turns to health, repeated loss of a whole night's sleep can increase the rate of a heart attack by 45%. And chronic long-term impairment of sleep matters too. What we see there is increased risks of diabetes by 20%, increased risk of myocardial infarction, the heart attack. But what we also see is a 2 to 5 times increase in all-cause mortality. So a death due to cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, neurocognitive disease, or endocrine disease, all because of a lack of that restorative power of sleep. So look out for sleep. And we know that too short and even too long a sleep is a problem. But really, it's the quality of sleep that matters.